I sacrificed everything to raise my sister, now she's lying about her past, married into a rich family, and cut me out of her life completely. Alright, here's the truth. I'm 33 now, and I've basically been raising my younger sister, Becca, who's 23, since I was just a teenager myself. I was only 15 when our world got flipped upside down. Nobody's ready to become a parent at that age, but when your mom and dad are killed in a car crash and the only family left is a scared little 5-year-old clinging to you, you don't think, you just step up. You do what you have to do. We didn't have much growing up. We scraped by in a small town where gossip spread faster than wildfire. Not long after the funeral, my dad's side of the family swooped in like vultures. I'll never forget it. They cleaned us out, his life insurance, whatever little savings he had, even the wrecked car from the accident. All they left behind was our childhood home, and even that felt more like a leftover than a gift. But it was something, so I clung to it like it was the only thing keeping us afloat. At 15, I had to drop out of school and become the one holding everything together. I became the breadwinner before I even knew what that really meant. No one wanted to hire a kid with zero experience and no diploma, but I didn't have the luxury of waiting around. Whether it was babysitting, scrubbing floors, or flipping burgers at the local fast food joint, I took whatever jobs I could find. I was either determined, or just plain desperate. Somehow, over the years, I worked my way up at that burger place. Eventually, I became the manager. It wasn't anything fancy, but it paid the bills. Every cent I earned went straight to Becca, her clothes, school supplies, everything. I was doing my best to give her the kind of life I never had. I saved every penny I could so she could go to college, because I knew that's what mom and dad would have wanted. And Becca? She used to light up when she talked about the future. She always promised me, once I graduate, I'll land a good job and pay you back for everything, sis. I didn't care about the money, I just wanted her to be happy. But still, hearing those words meant something. It made all the sacrifices feel worth it. But then, everything started to shift. A few months before she graduated, Becca met a guy. Jake. They'd been dating through most of college, and suddenly she stopped coming home during breaks. Instead, she spent all her time with Jake and his family. At first, I brushed it off. People change in college, right? I figured it was just a phase. But then I looked into Jake's background and realized his family was basically local royalty. Old money. Trust funds. His family practically owned half the town. I didn't try to interfere. Who was I to stand in the way of her happiness? If she was in love, that was all that mattered. But deep down, I felt like I was being pushed out. She used to be my little shadow, always glued to my side. Now, she barely returned a text. Still, I kept quiet. I didn't want to come off as the overbearing big sister who couldn't let go. After graduation, things went from bad to worse. Becca moved in with Jake, and I saw her even less. But the texts for money kept coming, requests for rent, groceries, little things. And I sent her whatever she needed, no questions asked. Part of me hoped she'd come back and live in the house we grew up in, but I didn't push. I told myself it was still my job to look out for her. But soon, the money she was asking for stopped being small. We were talking hundreds at a time, amounts big enough to buy a used car. I didn't know what was going on. Was Jake's family expecting her to keep up appearances? Had her life just gotten more expensive? I didn't want to pry, so I kept sending it, hoping it would help. Then one afternoon at work, during a quick break, I was scrolling through Facebook and there it was. A photo of Becca and Jake, all smiles, looking like they didn't have a care in the world. And on her finger? A ring. An engagement ring. My heart swelled with pride. My little sister was getting married. I was so excited I could hardly sit still. I texted her right away, telling her how happy I was and asking about the wedding. I even offered her our mom's wedding dress. It was a little old-fashioned, sure, but it was beautiful. I had always dreamed of wearing it myself, but the thought of Becca walking down the aisle in it? That would have meant everything. But her response? She told me not to bring up the wedding again, that I wasn't invited. I was completely blindsided. I texted again, asking if I'd done something to upset her. No answer. I called, she declined. My own sister was shutting me out, and I had no clue why. Eventually, I convinced her to meet me for coffee. I was nervous as hell and even called off work for it, which meant losing pay I couldn't really afford to lose. But for Becca, I'd have done anything. When she walked in, I barely recognized her. Her beautiful black hair, our mom's hair, was bleached blonde now. And it wasn't just her looks that had changed. Her whole energy was different. Cold. Distant. Like I was a stranger. I tried to break the ice. Asked her about the wedding, if I could see the ring. She showed it off, but when I reached out to touch it, she pulled her hand away and said my hands were dirty. I laughed it off, wiped my hands with a pack of wet wipes I had in my bag, but she still wouldn't let me near it. She didn't even drink the coffee I bought for her. She just sat there, staring through me like I didn't belong in her world anymore. I couldn't understand what I'd done wrong. I had just sent her money 2 weeks earlier. I was trying so hard to be there for her, and she looked like she couldn't stand to be around me. I apologized anyway, thinking maybe I'd unknowingly upset her. But when I asked if I could at least meet Jake before the wedding, she exploded. She told me, sternly, that I was never to meet him. That I shouldn't show up to the wedding. That if I truly loved her, I would stay away. She made me promise. And I did. But something inside me cracked wide open. That conversation haunted me. I couldn't stop thinking about it, how she acted, the cold look in her eyes. Something wasn't right. This wasn't Becca. So, I started digging. Quietly. I went through her old college friends' social media, trying to piece things together. And what I found, it broke me. Becca had been lying to everyone. She'd told people our parents were alive, rich, living abroad. That they were paying for everything in her life, the college tuition, the clothes, the fancy dinners. She was pretending we were wealthy. Pretending she came from money. And now, based on those lies, she was about to marry into one of the richest families in town. I finally understood why she wanted to erase me from the picture. Now Becca's built this whole fantasy life around herself, and I've realized that if I show up at the wedding, the truth will unravel fast. Her perfect little world would collapse right in front of everyone. I'm no longer her big sister, I'm just a walking, talking reminder of the life she's trying so hard to bury. If I show my face on that day, it could ruin everything for her. She'd risk losing Jake, his wealthy family, and that picture-perfect future she's chasing. All because she's embarrassed by me. By the very person who gave up everything to raise her. It broke me when I found out. After all the sacrifices I made, all those late nights working myself to exhaustion, every dream I shelved so she could chase hers, this is the thanks I get? To be erased like I never mattered? She's cut me out because I don't fit the fantasy she's created for herself. Her wedding's just weeks away, and I still don't know what to do. Part of me wants to show up anyway, to make her face the reality she's hiding from. But the other part? That part still loves her. And as angry and heartbroken as I am, I don't want to destroy her happiness. I just want my sister back. The sweet little girl who used to curl up next to me and promise we'd always stick together. I'd been replaying everything in my head, trying to pinpoint the moment I might have gone wrong. Did I shelter her too much? Push her too hard? Or maybe this was always who she was meant to become, and I just couldn't see it. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe I never will. But what I do know is that I can't keep doing this to myself. I can't keep putting my life on hold for someone who clearly doesn't want me in hers. I've poured every ounce of myself into her future, and somewhere along the way, I forgot I had my own life to live. Maybe it's finally time I started focusing on me. But it's not easy, it hurts like hell. Even now, knowing she's shut me out, I can't stand the thought of her tying the knot under a web of lies. I don't want her to build a life on something so fake. So, Reddit, tell me straight, am I wrong for even considering showing up and blowing up her big day? Or should I just quietly disappear and let her carry on pretending I never existed? I'm torn in every direction and I honestly don't know what the right move is anymore. Update 1. Wow. I never imagined this post would take off the way it has. My phone's been buzzing constantly with messages, comments, and advice from total strangers, some comforting, some brutally honest, but all of it deeply appreciated. I've been reading through every single response, and it's really helped me sort through my thoughts. I want to address some of the biggest questions I've seen. 1. Legal guardianship? No, I never legally adopted Becca. I was just a kid myself when our parents died, only 15, so that wasn't even an option. Child services checked in on us now and then, but being from a small town, people mostly looked the other way as long as Becca seemed okay. It wasn't perfect, but somehow, we got by. 2. The money situation? A lot of you noticed how strange her recent money requests have been, and yeah, I've started wondering too. It went from asking for $200 here and there to needing thousands every month. At first, I chalked it up to living in a big city, but now I'm wondering if she's using the money to keep up appearances, trying to seem like she belongs in Jake's world. It's eating me up not knowing the truth. 3. Jake's family? From what I've heard, and I admit, it's mostly through gossip and some online snooping, they're serious old money. They own a ton of businesses in town, the bank, the country club, the newspaper. They're known for being, let's just say, very exclusive. I've never met them, but I've heard plenty of whispers about how they treat people who don't measure up. 4. My mental health? Yes, I've tried therapy. A few people mentioned setting boundaries, and honestly, it hit a nerve. I went to counseling a few times after our parents died, mostly to help Becca cope, but I never really faced my own grief. And now, with my income, regular sessions just aren't in the budget. But you're right, I probably need it more than ever. 5. Our extended family? That's a touchy subject. After our parents passed, my dad's relatives showed up long enough to snatch everything valuable, then vanished. Haven't heard from them since. My mom's family? They live across the country, and we've never been close. It's basically just been me and Becca against the world, or at least, it used to be. 6. My education? Some folks asked why I didn't go back to school once Becca was older. Honestly, life just kept getting in the way. There was always a bill to pay or a crisis to manage. And the idea of sitting in a classroom full of 19-year-olds was pretty intimidating. It just never felt like the right time. 7. Becca's personality? That's the toughest question. The little girl I raised was kind and full of love. But people change, right? I kept telling myself she was just growing up, figuring things out. But now I'm not sure. Maybe she's been pretending so long she's lost herself in the act. Or maybe I just never saw her clearly to begin with. As for the wedding, I'm still torn. Part of me feels like staying away is the right thing, it's what she asked for. But another part of me feels like I'd be betraying everything I'd been through if I let this all slide. One comment really stuck with me. Someone said, "You spent your life parenting Becca. Maybe it's time to start parenting yourself." That hit me like a ton of bricks. I've got a lot of thinking to do. I'll post an update once I figure out what I'm going to do. Thank you, seriously, to everyone who took the time to listen. After all these years of feeling invisible, it means more than I can say. Update 2. It's the day before the wedding, and I'm a complete mess of emotions. After reading hundreds of comments and losing too many nights of sleep, I finally made a decision. I'm not going. Most of you advised me not to crash the wedding, and after digging deep into my heart, I know you're right. Showing up would only cause pain, and despite how much she's hurt me, I don't want to ruin Becca's big day. Even if that day is built on deception. I tried calling her yesterday, one last effort to talk before she said I do. But my number's blocked. I even drove past her apartment during my lunch break, hoping I might catch her. Her car wasn't there. It's like she's already erased every part of her old life, prepping for her new one. Earlier today, I got a call from an unknown number. I picked up, and all I heard was someone breathing before they hung up. A tiny part of me wonders if it was Becca, maybe trying to reach out, maybe just unsure, but maybe that's just me being hopeful, hearing what I want to hear. A few people suggested I write her a letter. Just pour everything out on paper, our history, my feelings, the pain, the love. I tried. I really did. I sat there with a pen in hand, thinking that handwriting it would make it feel more personal than an email. But every time I started writing, the tears came. I ended up with a bunch of tear-stained, crumpled messes. How do you put a lifetime of sacrifice and heartbreak into a single letter? In the end, I didn't send it. If Becca ever wants to know how I feel, she knows where to find me. Tomorrow's the wedding, and I've decided to stay home and try to keep myself distracted. A few of my coworkers, bless their hearts, offered to come by and keep me company. We're planning on ordering some greasy pizza, watching awful movies, and doing whatever it takes to keep my mind off what's happening across town. To those who were wondering, yes, I called out sick for tomorrow. My boss knows a bit about the situation and, surprisingly, has been nothing but supportive. I really got lucky there. Still, I can't stop thinking about Becca. What's she doing right now? Is she having her final dress fitting? Practicing her vows? Does she feel even a shred of guilt about cutting me out of the biggest day of her life? Or is she just relieved that her so-called embarrassing past won't show up and ruin her perfect moment? Some small, angry part of me wants to jump in the car, drive to that church, and tell the whole truth. But I know that urge comes from pain, not love. As deeply as she's wounded me, I still care about her. She's still the little girl I raised, somewhere under all the lies and pretense. And I have to hold on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, she'll remember that one day. So, while Becca walks down the aisle tomorrow into her new life, I'll be sitting here, trying to figure out what my life looks like without her in it. To be honest, it's terrifying. For so long, my entire identity has been tied up in being Becca's sister, her caregiver, her protector. Without that role, who even am I? But maybe, just maybe, this is a new beginning for me too. Maybe it's time to figure out who I am outside of Becca. I'll post an update after the wedding's over. And once again, thank you. All of you. Your words and kindness have meant more than I can express. Update 3. Hey everyone. It's been a week since the wedding, and wow, what a roller coaster. I've been putting off writing this because I'm still trying to process everything, but you've all been so incredibly supportive, I owe it to you to share what happened. The wedding day was rough, no sugarcoating it. I stayed home, like I said I would. My coworkers came over armed with enough junk food to last a week. They did everything they could to cheer me up, but I found myself glued to my phone anyway. I kept checking Instagram, Facebook, even the local newspaper's website. And sure enough, there it was, the society wedding of the year, plastered all over social media. There was Becca, beaming in a stunning designer gown, definitely not our mother's dress. That gown probably cost more than the house we grew up in. She looked gorgeous. Radiant. And I wasn't there to see it in person. That realization hit me like a punch in the stomach. I thought that would be the end of it, Becca sailing off into her perfect new life, and me left behind in the wreckage. But then, 2 days later, I got a letter in the mail. It was from Becca. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly ripped the envelope. The note inside was short, blunt. I'm sorry for cutting you out, but I needed a clean break to start my new life. Please don't contact me or Jake's family. It's better this way. Take care of yourself. B. No, I love you. No, thank you for everything. Just a cold, quiet dismissal. I cried for hours. It felt like I was losing her all over again. I told myself I would honor her request. Let her go. Try to build a life of my own. But then, yesterday, everything blew up in a way I never saw coming. I was home, half-heartedly browsing GED programs online. Thank you to everyone who encouraged that, by the way, when there was a knock at my door. I opened it and came face to face with a woman I didn't recognize at first. But then I realized, she was Jake's mother. Margaret. I'd seen her in the wedding photos. She introduced herself and politely asked if she could come in. I was so stunned, I just stepped aside without saying a word. She sat down in my tiny living room, looking completely out of place in her tailored outfit, and then she dropped a bombshell. The bombshell. She told me she had known the truth about Becca from the very beginning. Apparently, in their social circle, it's standard to run full background checks on potential in-laws. Margaret had hired a private investigator months ago, and he'd uncovered everything: our parents' death, my role in raising Becca, our financial struggles, all of it. I asked her why she allowed the wedding to go through if she already knew. Her answer chilled me to the bone. She said, I wanted to see how far she would go. I gave her a chance to tell the truth. Then she started asking me questions about our life, the money Becca had been requesting, what things were really like. And something inside me cracked open. Years of buried emotion came pouring out. I told her everything. Margaret thanked me for my honesty, said she had some things to take care of, and left as quickly as she came. The next part one only know through town gossip, but apparently, it got ugly. Margaret confronted Becca and Jake at their new place. Jake had no idea about Becca's lies. He believed every word she'd ever told him. And now, his family is pushing to annul the marriage. They're saying Becca committed fraud by misrepresenting herself. The entire town is buzzing. And last night, Becca called me. Absolutely hysterical. All her lies had come crashing down. She begged me to lie for her. To back up her story. To tell everyone she was from a wealthy family, that she hadn't lied. She wanted me to help her keep the life she built on a foundation of fiction. And for a second, that old part of me, the sister who always swooped in to save her, nearly agreed. But then something stronger spoke up. The part of me that's finally learning to put myself first. I told her I loved her, but I wouldn't lie for her. I couldn't. She hung up on me. She was sobbing. I don't know where things go from here. Will Jake stay? Will his family follow through with the annulment? Will Becca finally come to terms with the truth? I don't have those answers. But I do know this, I'm emotionally spent. This whole ordeal has dug up years of pain I didn't even realize I was still carrying. Several of you encouraged me to seek therapy, and you were right. I found a support group for people estranged from family, and I'm giving it a try. I'm also moving forward with the GED. I even got offers from kind strangers willing to help tutor me online. I'm not sure where life is headed, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm building something for me. I'll post one final update once things settle a bit more. Final update, 1 month later. It's been a month since everything blew up, and it honestly feels like a lifetime has passed. So much has changed, and I'm still trying to process all of it. But I promised one last update, so here it is. First, the aftermath of the wedding drama was exactly as chaotic as you'd expect. Jake's family went through with the annulment. They argued that Becca had misled them about her identity and background, basically accused her of fraud. The whole thing turned into a legal mess that had everyone in town talking. Becca tried to fight it. She got a lawyer, no idea how she paid for it, and claimed that love should be enough. That her background didn't matter. But then Jake himself testified that he felt betrayed. That he couldn't stay in the marriage. After that, the case was over. 3 weeks after the wedding, the marriage was annulled. Word is, Jake's family paid Becca a settlement to keep things quiet on the condition she sign an NDA. Typical move to bury the scandal. Becca showed up at my door not long after. She was in tears. She apologized for the lies, the betrayal, for cutting me out, for using me all these years. She admitted that she got so wrapped up in pretending to be someone else that she lost sight of who she really was, and who truly loved her. I wish I could say I forgave her right then and there. That we hugged it out and everything was fine. But life isn't a movie. I told her I appreciated the apology, but trust takes time. I needed space to heal. Still, I let her stay with me, for now. She's been living here for the past couple weeks. It's been awkward. We're both trying, but there's a lot of pain between us. We started seeing a family therapist together, ironically funded by her settlement, and it's helping, little by little. I don't know if we'll ever go back to what we once were. But we're at least making the effort. As for me, I've been focusing on myself. Really, truly focusing on myself, for the first time ever. I started those GED classes. They're challenging, but I'm holding my own. It feels good to be working towards something that's mine. That support group has been life-changing, too. Listening to others, sharing my story, it's been powerful. And it's taught me something I never learned growing up: how to set healthy boundaries. My boss found out about everything, small town, you know how that goes, and instead of judging me, she offered me a promotion. It's not huge, but it's more money, and it's a start. One surprise? Margaret, Jake's mom, has stayed in touch. She's become something of a mentor. She's helped me map out a plan to finish school and even offered advice on career options. I was hesitant at first, but she's been incredibly kind and supportive. So, where does that leave me? Honestly, I don't know. Things with Becca are still fragile, but we're rebuilding, slowly. More importantly, I'm rebuilding. I'm learning who I am without carrying the weight of someone else's life on my shoulders. It's scary. But it's also exciting. To everyone who's followed along, who's commented, supported, encouraged, thank you. You've helped me find my voice. You've helped me find the courage to finally put myself first. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know this. Whatever comes next, I'll face it on my own terms. This is me, signing off from this chapter of my life. Thank you. Truly.